Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mentalverse, episode 6. Today we'll be talking about anger and rage. But first, intros, of course, Nadim. And we got the one and only, the Spanish lady herself, mate, Cristina.
Hello everyone, hola a todo el mundo. Voy a empezar primero hablando en español. Así que espero que os guste este nuevo episodio. Este es el número 6 y hablaremos sobre la diferencia entre estar enfadado y estar pues como furioso, ¿no? Por así decirlo, una emoción un poquito más fuerte, ¿vale? Y siempre relacionado con el sector de los esports. Así que nada, espero que sea de vuestro interés y empezamos.
Well, that concludes the Spanish introductions. Shall we begin?
Yes, of course. First, we're going to do a difference between the rage and anger because sound similar, but they are a bit different. Okay, so anger is like a feeling of being annoyed and irritated towards something or someone. Maybe this like is more soft, no? Because rage is like more violent. People feel frustrated, feel angry, and maybe they usually use physical abuse or maybe verbal abuse. So it's very different, and also you can see it in different situations. Right, Nadim?
Of course. To put it simple, rage is basically an advanced form of anger, and anger is like the gentle version of rage. Now, bear in mind, when it comes to rage, we're talking about the normal version of rage. We're not talking about intermittent explosive disorder, which basically a person gets enraged for no reason at all. Nope. We're talking about rage from too much energy, negative energy, bottled up within, and at some point the person just explodes, and all that negative emotions turn into hostile and aggressive attitude towards whatever problems they're facing.
Exactly. Later, we will explain this with different examples about esports, maybe in the gaming sector. So first, we're going to start with the history. So Nadine, if you want to explain us
history lesson. Now, anger was used throughout history for different formats. We all read stories and heard stories about anger being used, but the beauty about it is rage. Rage in history was actually used in a positive form, while nowadays we see rage as a bad quality. Back in the old days, rage was actually used in positive, depending on the situation. One such situation was combat. The Vikings used rage intentionally during combat, one class in particular known as the Berserkers. Now, the Berserkers were basically frontline individuals who flew into an intentional state of rage, be it by blood, intentionally harming themselves to fly into a rage, or mental rage, which causes the person's adrenaline to be increased, and that increases their strength and their, basically, wouldn't say immunity, but their durability. And in combat, those attributes can be a game changer for, any combatant. Not to mention only during debates, rage was intentionally used during specific or unique kind of debates where one of the individuals fly into an intentional state of rage, causing the opponent to, become intimidated and in return react in confusion or, panic mode, or you could say just losing their train of thoughts. Bizarre as it is, yes, rage was used in a very positive form. Now, of course, nowadays, rage would just be considered a very bad social image. I mean, nobody wants to communicate with someone who gets enraged. We're more forgiving towards anger, but we're not very forgiving towards rage. Hence why we hear terminologies like rage quit in video games. I mean, nobody wants to team up with someone who just rage quits. And of course, we've heard terminologies like road rage, which could lead to very violent situations and sometimes cause death. Yeah, very bad image. I mean, there's no positive to that one.
Yeah, so it's very interesting how this concept developed during the years, no? Because in the last, it was so like a positive aspect, maybe in different situations, but now it's not. Now it's very negative, no? So tell me.
Well, look at it this way. Now we have to talk about the medical condition. I mean, getting angry and getting enraged has side effects. And let's look at it this way. Rage what we call is a deal with the devil. While the positives are increase in adrenaline, increase in strength, which some people like in normal mode, no person doesn't, display these strengths, but in rage, the person displays extra amount of strength that they normally don't display. And they are more durable, as we said, from the adrenaline increases. So it's basically more beneficial during combat. But
Yes.
what are the side effects? Now, while you get these perks, you also get the negatives, which is prolonged exposure to rage. Constant rage could lead to anxiety, could lead to stress, depression, high blood pressure, even heart attacks. So on one end, you could ask, is that a fair trade, to become enraged, to win combats or to fight or whatever, but in return, you get these negative effects to your health? Depending on the person, but it's hence why you could say it's a deal with the devil. It's like you get, but you lose.
Yes.
Now,
yes, of course.
Now, while anger also does have these effects, mind you, a constant exposure to anger, repetitive form of anger, could lead to the same side effects, of course. But there are positives. Now, while society labels anger in a very bad way, of course, it's what we call anger is a misunderstood emotion. Because it does have positives, which is weird enough. While rage is more confrontational, anger could be both offensive and defensive, hence why there is what we call the fight or flight response. When you're angry, it's not always confrontational. Sometimes people retreat when they're angry to recollect. And this is actually something very good for a human being. Also, you got
Yes, and I think in the episode that we talk about the angry emotions, we said that there have some positive aspects, no?
Yep.
So I think we could start to talk about them if you want, because there are some of them, and then just try to explain a bit. So if you want to start with the first one.
Well, we could say the concept of discharging your energy. When you can't bottle up your emotions. Everybody says that. No matter what, don't bottle your emotions within, because the more you bottle up your negative emotion, the more your meter will reach rage. And when you reach rage, that's it. That's the end game for you. You just lose control.
Yes.
Basically, you become the Hulk. I mean, we've seen a lot of people just go crazy during video games, and streamers. We've seen streamers just smash keyboards, break mice, grab a screen and throw it aside. Those things happened.
Yes. Yes. I think another one will be like providing a sense of control, no? Even if the situation is difficult, some people like feel angry, but they try to, they just know how to control the situation.
Of course.
But if you feel rage, it's impossible, no? It's like you are under control.
Hence why you see some people are easily to control. It's still easy to communicate with someone who's angry in comparison to communicate with someone who's enraged. And it's the same image when you're playing in a team game. Your teammate who's enraged, it's just impossible to communicate. There's absolutely no way to become harmonic with them. They just do their own thing, and they just ignore all form of communication. They ignore all aspects of socializing. They just become this monster. While being angry, it's much more easier to control, because when let's say you're communicating with a teammate who's angry, you could still calm them down through specific words or methodologies. So anger is much more susceptible to being controlled or managed. And it's the same thing for the person. Like we said before, when somebody's angry and when they do this cool down period, they're able to pinpoint what they did. They revisit what they've done. So when they face a certain situation, they're able to automatically respond and control. So those are one of the beauties of being positive when angry.
Yeah, and maybe the motivation.
Well, motivation.
This was weird for me, because I didn't thought about this aspect, no? But it's true that when you feel angry, maybe you can feel motivated, to get maybe one objective that you have, no?
There's this mindset. I've actually seen it when playing video games, and specifically ranked games. When you're playing ranked games, you reach a rank, you're like, okay, it happens. And then when something happens, you become angry. It's like, I can do this. Why is this happening? And you get so pissed off that it becomes an incentive. It's like a self-motivator through anger. Now, it does sound weird, but some people benefit from getting angry, which of course happened to us all. Some of us actually have this advantage during, playing ranked games. It was like, when we reach a rank, we become angry, like somebody else who plays worse than we do is higher rank. Why aren't we doing better? So we get pissed off, and it's like a weird, bizarre motivation. I know
Yeah,
it
yeah,
sounds
yeah, yeah.
weird because most people are like, we never use anger as motivator. We use positive energy. It's like,
Yes,
but
exactly.
oddly enough, yes, anger does help in the positive.
I think for me this is one of the most interesting because I never thought about this. No, I feel angry, but then I like, okay, I'm going to try again. No, so I'm just feeling motivating again. I didn't thought about that. So yeah, it's interesting for me. It's very interesting.
This is what I was saying when anger is misunderstood in society because
Yeah.
people automatically, when you say angry, people are like, it's bad. It's like, it's not bad, it's misunderstood. It's like the
Yes.
anti-hero moment. It's like
Yeah,
anger
yeah, yeah,
could
yeah.
be good just if it's used in a specific manner. But, society just wants to say anger equals bad, Jedi order. Anger leads
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
hate. No, it doesn't. In your face, Jedi
Exactly.
order.
So now, if you want, we can move to a new section,
But
like becoming.
But before
Okay,
we get there, we have
you
one
want
more
to?
thing, which
Okay,
is weird, something
okay,
very
okay.
bizarre, which is the cooperative image. Most
Ah,
people
yes.
haven't noticed, and this is actually very bizarre because if you're getting angry towards someone for a positive reason, for example, if you see someone doing nothing and you get angry at them, people respond negative towards you for getting angry for no reason. But if you get angry towards someone who's doing something bad, for example, someone harming a cat and you got angry at them, people react cooperative towards your anger. So people don't
Hmm.
respond judgmental to your anger. People are more supportive to your anger because it's justified. So that creates, weird enough, a cooperative image. Weird, huh? It's odd to think about it when you see it that way. It's like anger equals cooperative? But when you think about it in a philosophical manner, it does bring results. Weird.
Yeah.
We humans are weird. What can I say?
Okay, so now we're going to move to another section that is called becoming a better angry gamer. No? I mean, this could be related about to control or a bad emotion, maybe, or angry emotions. So I think this is something that would be very interesting to work with the players while they are under pressure or maybe playing tournaments. No, so if you can explain us a bit.
If we have to first of all understand that getting angry is normal, is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a taboo thing. So when you see a player getting angry, you can't just automatically assume it's a bad thing. Some people get angry very quick because something happens in a game. It's normal. And sometimes people get angry and then they produce better results, which is bizarre, but it happens. So we have to be more forgiving. Hence why when we said anger is more forgiving and it's easier to control, and there are certain things like anger management, which is more forgiving. While, rage is less forgiving. So, when somebody's pissed off, it's like, okay, it happens, but try to find solutions, try to find remedies, try to find alternatives. And that helps.
Mm-hmm.
Even for a player, I mean, it's normal. But here's where something happens. We have to think. When getting angry, you have to say, what are the alternative techniques? Now, we've spoken about them before, back off a bit, find an alternative route, breathe, respiration, sports, and so forth.
Yes.
Always find alternatives. There's always a solution. To rage, however, that's a different ballgame. If you're in rage, just monstrous, disastrous, and
Yeah, you are lost.
creepy. I mean, no.
Yeah, it's very difficult to control your emotion when you're rage. No?
We've seen streamers, like we've said it before, we've
Yeah.
seen streamers go in rage. That's
Yes.
terrifying. I mean, I wouldn't want to be standing next to them when they're doing that. No, thank you. I just want to be far away from that image. Imagine
Well, we have a Spanish streamer that is like rage the whole time, and they have a lot of followers. I still thinking why.
Okay, this is something bizarre, and I've always
Yeah.
there's a saying, it's always funny when it happens to someone else. So it's like entertainment. It's like when somebody goes
Yeah.
into a rage mode, it's funny when you're like, I'm pretty sure I'll never do that like this guy did.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
like people smash their keyboards, and I was like, I to think 10 times before I smash my keyboard because like this stuff is expensive, dude. I'm not gonna smash it. And I mean, I
Yeah.
work hard to pay for this equipment. I'm not gonna smash it and break it. It's like, no. But this guy is like, okay, it's funny because he's embodied my inner gamer rage,
Yeah.
explosive
Yeah.
behavior. So it's funny. I mean, depending on who you ask. Especially when it's something bizarre like your teammate pissing you off and the guy suddenly goes into a rage and smashes his screen. It's like, the screen did you nothing. It's innocent. It's an object, dude.
Well, this person is like and the whole time like swearing word, no, and also just go to Twitter and they start to write people, no, in bad ways, no, and then they start to feel very very angry. In this case, it's raging more than angry. But yeah, I don't like it honestly. But I don't know
I
why
feel
people.
this
Maybe it's because
person.
of entertainment,
I feel
probably.
this person's gonna have some serious health conditions when he's done streaming.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
A lot of streamers say that this person need help, but
Both physical and mental, because a lot of people say when you're constantly feeling great, you need mental help. Like, come on, dude.
but
Please behave.
yeah. So well, now we are going to move to the last section, no?
Yes.
We could say that anger, sorry, and rage in the esports area, no? We have been talking about gamers, players, so I think we are not going to tell anything new, no? So, what we could say, I think, about the anger and rage in the esports sector or area.
Well, in the esports sector, like I said, anger, forgiving, emotion, there are alternatives. Coaches always find solutions to an angry player. Always.
Hmm.
Now, it might vary. Like I said before, we spoke about it. It varies depending on the person because human
Yeah.
characteristics is different. Some people, need to de-stress themselves or release that negative energy through physical contact. Punching a bag in a sandbag or running or de-stressing yourself. Coaches always have this important saying: never bottle up your anger during gameplay because if you do, you're gonna reach a point where you will become enraged, and when you do, you will cause negative emotions to yourself, you will cause harm to your teammates, and you will give the club a bad name. It's like, this
Hmm.
club has a player who rages. Why on earth did they put him here? Nobody wants that kind of reputation on the internet. So players, this is why you notice that most, well, a large amount of pro players don't rage. Because when you do, bad publicity, and the player usually gets into a bad image with his audience. His
Hmm.
fans will be like, "Why is he raging? That's not something we're proud of. We're cheering for you. Don't get pissed off like that. That's bad."
Hmm.
So those are usually the solutions people tend to take to avoid becoming enraged, especially in video games. I mean,
Yeah, I also think another of the problems will be like they will become like less sociable, and
mhm.
maybe the communication is not gonna be very positive. No, I mean they 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 wouldn't communicate it much. No, like they could feel like isolated. No, maybe.
They're not going to be responsive. Yeah, I mean, literally.
Yeah.
And some people literally do, when they're in a state of rage, they rage quit. Imagine in the middle of a
Hmm.
tournament how embarrassing it is to rage quit on your team. The entire viewer section will be like, this guy is embarrassing. Nobody
Hmm.
wants to be put in that situation.
Yeah. So we could say that is essential to control
Mhm.
our emotions is something that we have been talking during the latest episode, no?
Yes.
So if we cannot control ourselves, it's not gonna be a
We can't
positive
produce good
way.
results for our team and for ourselves, even in our social life. I mean, in anything. To control yourself is key element. Now, you can't fully control everything. That's something people have to
Mhm.
understand. We are human beings and we are
Yeah.
susceptible to all form of emotions, positive, negative. Sometimes our emotions occur because of unexpected situations, events that is beyond our control. But to accept the fact that we have to learn to control the majority of our emotions actually helps us in just about a variety of situations, including esports and mostly in esports, both as a player or as a coach. I mean, a coach
Hmm.
cannot coach if they are angry, if they are enraged, for instance. They cannot give a good speech to their teams. I remember seeing a video once. An American football coach literally flew into a rage to his entire team, and his entire team was like, we're not gonna take that attitude from you. They left the stadium. They were like, we're not gonna play with this guy, and they left. That's how the negative impact of rage can do to a coach or a player.
Hmm. And to finish, I would like to ask something like working anger or maybe rage should be like individually or also in a teamwork, no? Like players should work on themselves, or also coaches and maybe the staff should help them.
That's the beauty about individuality, because
Mm-hmm.
some people prefer to be alone to recover their thoughts and to find solutions. Some people prefer bonding experience, the supporting, they prefer being with a
Mm-hmm.
supporting role with someone. That's why the coach sometimes know, okay, this player needs me. I'm going to help them to counter this anger situation or this frustration situation. One such example, if a player is doing something and he is constantly falling into the same mistake, the coach can be there as a backup, as a support. Even the teammates, because they experience it and they know how it feels as well, they can be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, if you're doing this, do that, do this, give suggestions because they experienced it firsthand. But some
Mm-hmm.
players also prefer the what we call the lone wolf mentality, which is, I prefer to resolve my own matters myself because I believe
Mm-hmm.
I know myself better than anyone else. So
Mm-hmm.
there is no negativity to those solutions, mind you, as long as the result is beneficial for both the player themselves and their team as a whole.
Okay, so this could be a sum up, no, about what we have been talking about.
Yes, indeed. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes our important topic of rage and anger. I'm Nadim, and of course, the lovely Spanish lady herself, Cristina, signing off. Till next time.